Hello friends, this time I bring you another questions and answers video. If you want your comment to appear in the next video, leave your questions in the comment box. Remember, if your question doesn't appear in this video, you can always leave it again in the comment box. I'll try to upload these videos more frequently to answer all the questions. Sometimes there are many, but I try to answer the most interesting ones first. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this video. Could Jack Hanma's titanium teeth break through Yujiro's skin? It's an interesting question because Yujiro's skin is even tougher than Oliva Biscuit's skin. The ogre was able to withstand Hanayama's grip strength when they faced off in the past. Remember, up to that point, Hanayama had the strongest grip in the series, and even so, he couldn't break Yujiro's skin. Yujiro has also managed to walk away from armed conflicts without a scratch. In fact, the ogre is one of the few characters who don't have visible scars. Yujiro's skin remains intact as he has not suffered major injuries like Baki or Jack. Both have scarred bodies due to their lifestyles. But if you ask me whether Jack could cause significant damage to Yujiro with his teeth, I'd say yes. Other fighters have managed to make him bleed in a bare-knuckle fight. Now imagine what Jack could do with his titanium teeth. I'd really like to see Yujiro's reaction when Jack manages to hurt him using his teeth. In the past, Yujiro told Jack that next time he should aim for the neck. So I hope Jack remembers that. But even if he can't beat Yujiro, the least we can expect is for him to leave a mark on Yujiro's body. A mark that reminds the ogre of him every time he looks at that part of his body. A permanent scar would be a poetic way to give back to Yujiro for the harm he did to Jack's mother in the past. So in conclusion, I believe Jack can indeed injure Yujiro with his bite. However, Jack will need to be ready, as Yujiro won't just stand around waiting for Jack to strike first. Both are very fast and agile, but I think Yujiro has the advantage over Jack in this aspect, so the biting cyborg will have to come up with a good strategy to break through Yujiro's defense. Is Yuichiro still alive? I answered this question in another video, but I'll mention it here so you can drop your theories in the comment box. Share your theories about Yuichiro Hanma, and we'll discuss them in an upcoming video. Now, let's quickly analyze this before moving on to the next question. It has never been explicitly stated whether Yuichiro is still alive, or if he passed away some time ago. There's still a possibility we might see him again in the future, but I'm curious about what you all think. I believe he's still alive since projecting his image during the father versus son fight would require him to be close to the location. It's a technique that demands a lot of focus and energy. We should also consider that Yuichiro's projection differs from Baki's. While Baki just created copies without their own consciousness, when Yuichiro appeared, he was able to speak and seemed fully conscious. It's as if he was projecting his image from somewhere nearby. But we'll delve into this another time. So, share your theories about Yujiro's father, and I will analyze them in a future video. This friend is asking how Jacks Ark will unfold and the order of his fights until he fights Yujiro. Well, with the first 3 chapters of this new manga, it's been made clear that Jack will start by fighting secondary fighters before taking on Baki or Yujiro. I think this is the right way to develop Jack before confronting the ogre. However, something that many have overlooked is that one of Jack's main goals will be to get revenge on the prehistoric caveman Pickle. In the last chapter of Baki-Do, there was a special page mentioning that Pickle vs. Jack would be one of the main events of this arc. This fight is likely to take place in the middle of the story, after Jack has defeated some secondary characters. His fight against Kosho is about to happen, but Jack is unlikely to lose. There are also other fighters such as Doppo and Katsumi, and I hope we see those battles before witnessing Jack take on the strongest fighters in the series. On the other hand, there is a good chance that Yujiro will decide to fight Jack early. After all, he is not known for his patience. During the Maximum Tournament, he burst into the arena and caused total chaos. Recall also that when he heard that Musashi had revived, he immediately went to see him and challenged him to a match. Jack would need to beat someone important like Doppo or Pickle to get Yujiro's attention. This way, Jack wouldn't have to seek him out. Instead, the ogre would come looking for a fight. It's also worth noting that Jack could challenge any fighter from the series, not just those present in the underground arena on that night when he issued his famous challenge. Kosho was not in the arena, and, as we have seen, he will be the first to face Jack in this new arc. Another person says, I'd like to see what would have happened if Spec got to fight the other main guys, seeing how he was compared to Ogre by Baki, and Hanayama had Ogre flashback. I would like to know if the others would see it as well. You're right, friend. Spec made quite the impression on both Baki and Hanayama as both compared him to Yujiro. Perhaps this was due to Spec's wild fighting style. The Yujiro of the past was known for humiliating his opponents and attacking them mercilessly. Now the ogre seems to enjoy his fights more and shows respect to his opponents when they give him a good fight. Spec also reminds me of the Yujiro of the first seasons. Back then, the ogre was sadistic, capable of the worst actions. I'm not saying he has changed completely, but I think he has matured compared to his past version. I believe if Doppo had faced him, he would have also made a comparison to the younger Yujiro. In terms of brute strength, I would say Spec is the strongest of the 5 prisoners. If he had fought other characters, they probably wouldn't have been as lucky as Hanayama. I think Spec would have beaten both Katsumi and Doppo using the same dirty tricks he used against Hanayama. They are skilled fighters, but you have to remember that Dorian put them both in trouble with his dirty tricks. So, against Spec the situation would have been similar. Retsu likely would have handled the situation better, being also skilled in using weapons, as demonstrated in his fight against Doyle. Baki has experience dealing with fighters bigger and stronger than him, but I have doubts whether he would have emerged unscathed from a fight with Spec. We saw him easily humiliate Yanagi and Sikorsky at the same time, but Spec is a different case. That guy almost sent Hanayama to the other world. If Baki had activated his demon back, he might have won, but I have no doubt he would have been seriously injured in that fight. Spec is one of those characters that give you chills just by looking at him. He was very unpredictable and could perform the most bizarre actions one could imagine in the middle of a fight. Another user has an interesting question. I have a question. How would Yujiro react if a character were faster than him? And would Yujiro take up a bet? For instance, "Hey man, I have a bet for you. If you can't hit me within 1 minute, you have to train me for a month." Would he accept the bet? In that case, the person would earn Yujiro's respect. Recall that when Yujiro faced Pickle, he was truly shocked when the caveman almost beat him in the contest of brute force. However, he was not angry, but rather excited about what Pickle could do. The same thing happened when he fought Musashi. On that occasion, Yujiro struck the swordsman with all his strength, and yet Musashi remained standing, holding onto his sword. If someone were to surpass Yujiro in any aspect, the ogre would most likely show him respect. However, because of his pride, he would try to beat him no matter what. Now, supposing Yujiro accepts that kind of bet and loses it, I think he would be willing to train someone. In fact, he could train Baki, but since the boy is quite proud, he would never ask his father for such a thing. During the maximum tournament, Yujiro showed up with a disciple, so he probably wouldn't mind training someone else as long as he sees potential as a fighter in this person. This person asks, do you think if Baki beat Yujiro in the future, Jack could beat Yujiro too? Or the series will end without revenge from Yujiro? Well, I believe Jack won't be able to beat Yujiro. Baki couldn't, and I highly doubt Jack could either. Ever since the father-son fight, Jack has grown stronger after witnessing Baki do what he never could. However, it's important to note that Yujiro also continued to grow stronger since then. The power scales in Baki are constantly rising, and Yujiro remains at the top since he doesn't even need to train to become stronger. Therefore, I think this series will end with Yujiro still undefeated. On the other hand, I don't think Baki can defeat his father. Despite this, it would be amazing to see the two brothers teaming up to take down the strongest creature on Earth. It's true that Jack lacks some power feats to be on the same level as Baki and Yujiro, but as I mentioned, a 2 versus 1 fight would be fantastic to see. In another video, I mentioned the possibility of Jack dying at the end of the story. He said he doesn't expect to live a long life after all. His only goal has always been to beat Yujiro regardless of the consequences. If this happens, it would be a hard blow for Jack's fans. However, if he manages to defeat Yujiro at the cost of his own life, it would be a fitting end for this character. Anyway, these are just theories, and for now, all we can do is wait to see how the story unfolds in the manga. Tell me what you think about the topics discussed in this video. Share your theories about Yuichiro Hanma, and tell me who you'd like to be the first man to defeat Yujiro. Do you think Jack is the better choice to defeat Yujiro, or does Baki deserve that honor? Share your opinions in the comment box, and I'll be reading them. By the way, I want to take a moment in this video to mention that next week we won't have a new chapter of the Baki manga. The series will return in the first week of October, so stay tuned to this channel so you don't miss the new chapters. And well, friends, Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.